Hello Excel friends. So in our previous exercises, we created this Inditex worksheet, which has information about Inditex revenue and net income from 2018 and 2017. And we compared that to the number 2 firm in the space, their rival H&M stores. And H&M is listed in millions of Swedish kroner, while Inditex is listed in millions of euro. And even though we can compare the growth rates, because those will be consistent regardless of the currency that we have in here, but we don't have information on how euros and kroner compare to one another. And in fact, since I'm in the United States, I'd like to see these figures in dollars. So what we're going to do is we're going to create a worksheet which looks very similar to this. And over in cell F1, that's where we're going to start our euro to dollar, and then we're going to do our kroner to dollar value over here. Now, normally when you're studying international finance, you will learn how to adjust for currency as it fluctuates throughout an organization's financial reporting period. But in this particular case, we're going to simplify things, and we're going to convert the euro. 1 euro equals $1.1, whereas 1 kroner only equals 1 dime. So let's go ahead and create this worksheet. Now what I'm going to do is actually highlight everything that I've got in this area here. So from B1 down to D11, and I'm going to do a Command C to copy that, and then I'm going to click over in F1 and I'm going to paste it right in. And now in F1 I'm going to put in euro to dollar, and the value that I'm going to put in over in H1 is going to be 1.1. And I'm going to change my value in F2, and instead of saying value in millions of euros, I'm going to say value in millions of dollars. And down here I'm similarly going to say krona to dollar, and krona is the singular for kroner, which is plural, and that's 0.1. So there's only a dime to a kroner at this point in time. That's the rough exchange rate that we've got, and this is going to be value in millions of dollars as well. So now what I want to do is I want to calculate these values, and one of the things I want to do is to set these currencies back to dollars. So I'm simply going to highlight this area here, click on the accounting symbol, and shrink down the decimal points. And remember, if I want to copy this format and put it down here as well, I can just go up to my format painter here, this little paintbrush, while I'm on my home tab, and I can click on the kroner values there, and it will convert those to dollars as well. Now, I haven't done the actual formula conversion, so I'm going to start in cell F4, and I'm going to say that F4 is going to equal to the value that I have in B4, which is the euro value, and I'm just going to multiply that by, so say star, and then I'm going to click up here into H1, and then I'm going to press enter. Now we see that the value is converted here. It increases by 10%. And now if I want to use my autofill here, if I just hold my cursor over in the lower right hand corner on this little square so that it becomes a thick black plus sign and drag over, I see all of a sudden, oh my goodness, this is giving me a divide by 0 error, and I've got nothing in cell G4. Well, what happened here? If I double click on cell F4, I can see what's highlighted here. So I'm doing B4 times H1. If I click over here, double click over into G4 though, I see my relative reference shifted over by 1 here, which is what I wanted. I wanted to compare to 2017 when I copied over here, but I did not want my H1 value to move over to I1. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go back over here into F4, and I'm going to use what's called an absolute reference. So if I click over here into H1, and instead I put dollar signs in front of the H and in front of the 1, what the dollar sign acts as is an anchor, or you can even consider it to be almost like super glue. It will not move the value that it's in front of. So if I have the dollar sign in front of the letter in my cell address, the column value will never move if I copy items over, if I used autofill. Similarly, if I have a dollar sign in front of a number here, the numeric value, which is going to be my row value, will never change either. Now, you can go ahead and you can type those in directly, but you can also use a keyboard shortcut. And on the Mac, it's a Command T. On Windows, it's Function key 4, and F4 works on the Mac as well. And what that does is it toggles through the different types of references. So it starts off by putting a dollar sign in front of both the letter and the number, or the column and the row, to make sure that those don't move. And we consider that to be an absolute reference. Press the shortcut key again, and the dollar sign goes away from the letter or the column. So the column can move, but the dollar sign is in front of the number, so the row will not move. Press the shortcut key again, and what you'll do is you'll lock down the column with the $sign in front of the letter, but the row can move, and then press the shortcut key one more time, and it turns into a relative reference where there is no $sign in front of either the letter or the number. Now I'm actually going to keep the reference so that both the H and the 1 are anchored, because I'm going to be sliding over here to the right from F to G, and I'm also going to be going from 4 to 5. So notice that I've just anchored down my H1 value. I want my B4 value to continue to change. So this is my relative reference right here, my B4 value, but my absolute reference, which is anchored and it's not going to move, is my H1 value. So if I press enter now, and then I click in cell F4, grab onto the autofill, drag it over, and I can see if I double click on G now that in fact I have a relative reference here that shifted where I don't have the $signs, but I do have no shifting at all in cell H1 because I had a $sign in front of H and I had a $sign in front of 1. Now what I'm going to do is I'm going to click back on and highlight from F4 to G4. I'm going to click in the autofill, and I'm just going to drag this value down. And what this has done is it's propagated my formulas down. And if I double click on cell F5, I can see that my relative reference shifted down here, but it didn't shift my H because I got $signs in front of it. And if I double click on cell G5, I see the same kind of thing, that I shifted my reference down from C4 to C5, but I didn't shift H1. So that's looking great. Now, if I want to go ahead and do the same kind of thing for the kroner to dollar, I can just go ahead and I can highlight these 4 values here. I can copy, which on the Mac is Command C, or on Windows it's Control C. I can click down here in cell F10, paste in the values that I've got, and now let's take a look to see what happened when I copied the values here and I pasted them in. So if I double click here and I see my kroner value, well, I'm still anchoring to H1 up here. So I do want to make one change to my formula. Again, I've clicked into F10, double clicked actually, so that I can get in and edit in the formula bar. I'm going to backspace over my $H, $1 that I had, and instead I'm going to make sure that I do B10 multiplied by H7. And again, I want to do the same sort of thing here. I want to make an absolute reference here. So you can F4, function 4 on Windows, or you can Command T on the Mac, put $signs in front of both of those, press enter, and now you can go up into cell F10. We can see the formula is set up with the second element in here, the second cell, H7, as an absolute reference. I can click on my autofill, drag over to the right, then click on the autofill, drag down, and in fact now I've got the 2 values in US dollars. And I can do a comparison, and as I would expect, Inditex, which is number 1, is a much larger firm in terms of revenue than H&M is, but I also see that the growth figures are the same regardless of the currency that I've got. So this explained how absolute references and relative references worked. I hope you understood how this works, and keep at it.